All right, let's go for this. All right, trying some new things. Right now, the first time, of course, I'm making sure I can actually be heard on stream. And I'm also trying out web captioner for this at least. Um, because it's technically difficult to set up for other people. I'm not doing that right now with my role playing games. But I'm thinking this is a good place to try this out. I think it works just fine here when I'm just relying on myself and my equipment, etc., etc. So yeah, so this talk show this time is about I have a large, well, what I consider a large role playing game collection, and there's stories behind different things. So I figured I'd bring it out, kind of talk about some stuff. There again, and every gamer has this. Every gamer has that collection. There's a story either behind how they got it, the game, something that interesting that happened when they played it. Something just totally memorable to literally anyone who would, another gamer who would want to listen, that kind of thing. So I figured I'd talk about some of that stuff. And viewers, please feel free to chat. It'll actually show up on my stream here. I'm there. And let's get going. Let's look at the first game. Here, it's a tough one. What to start with? There we go. All right. So the very first one is from the Neverworld role-playing game. This was Culture Book Nuonians. You can actually find this on eBay and stuff. So Neverworld was a game that I was kind of involved in the 90s, pretty much all the 90s. And my buddy Aaron, and we're actually going to make a full-on talk show about this, but my buddy Aaron was the creator, writer, etc. I was kind of along for the ride, and I actually did a bunch of play testing and a bunch of feedback on that play testing. I wrote, I don't want to say all of the short stories, but in any of the main book or the culture books that were published, the short stories that were done were mostly mine. And in fact, there was a newsletter we put out, and I've occasionally put a short story in that. So the only and I contributed to content, but I didn't write much. I did like spells here and there and that kind of thing. What I did do is in this Culture Book Nonians. Nonians are kind of a breed of human, or a culture of human, if you will, if you go by Culture Book. And I actually wrote a cult for this one, the Cult of Dorimidos, and it was my first, my original contribution to the game. So it's pretty cool. And of course, it had to be a cult of demon type worshippers, which is pretty cool. Let's face it. So that was pretty cool. So that was Culture Book Nuonians. Again, you can buy it on eBay. I actually have several boxed editions with this in it. I should probably give those away at some point because I do have my own copies and stuff. But Culture Book Nuonians, really cool. I had a lot of good memories. I did a lot of Gen Cons working on Neverworld. But that's probably for yet another one, another episode. So actually, let's go into another Gen Con related one. So when you worked Gen Con and you were in the dealer room, you were an actual dealer, you had access to that dealer room before and after everyone else had access. You have an exhibitor badge. And Cassie, yeah, cultists are the original tragic story. The same tier as bandits. I feel sorry for them. The cultists don't feel bad for themselves. That's the thing. They're good with it. So let's see. So yes. So as an exhibitor, having an exhibitor badge, you got into the seller's hall before and after everyone else did, and there were there was the TSR castle at that time, and they were, they do Nerf gun battles and stuff before and after on the first or last day or something like that. Anyway, so when the last day of the con happened, suddenly you have these exhibitors who have extra stuff. And extra stuff means extra stuff to load back onto a truck and take somewhere. And by the time that the end of a convention happens, the last thing you want to do is exert anything else because you've given it all to the entire con week. So there's that. So basically, what Aaron and other vendors allowed us to do, basically, Aaron gave us a bunch of copies. Like I think I got 3 or 4 box sets of Neverworld to trade. So like, and that meant he didn't have to take it home. He just writes it off as a business expense, that kind of thing, and everybody went. So you go from booth to booth. You know, I like this. I've been looking at this all convention, and I just never get around to getting it. Hey, would you want to? I'll trade you this for that. And one of the times I did that, I got to talk to. I didn't even realize I was talking to the creator of the game. So there was this little game back in the '90s called Battlelords of the 23rd Century, written by Lawrence Sims, and I own the game. I got it, and I've looked over it since, and I don't know where this. I don't quite know where this thought in my head came from, but I got it in my head that it was a little flippant. They did too many, like, you know, it was jokes here and there about things, and it was like, well, it's hard to take Battlelord seriously when they're making all these jokes in the game. So I so I go up to this guy at the booth, and so I start talking to him about the new game he's selling, which is this one. It's called Blood Dawn, also by Lawrence Sims. And so I start talking to him, and I'm talking, hey, I like Battlelords. Is this like Battlelords? It's like, yeah, I mean, it has a basis in it, blah blah blah. And I mentioned the fact that I thought that Battlelords is a little flippant for the, you know, the story style, and you could see him go, and then he's like, yeah, so I wrote that too. Like, okay, well, I'll trade you a box set for your game. It's really cool. So actually, I haven't. I never. To be honest with you, I never played this game, but the background was. This is one of those games that I have a whole bunch of games that I've never played and probably won't. But the background is so fun to read. It's worth it and then some. So like. So this is one of the games that I'm gonna have to crack it open and look at it now, but I haven't actually opened it up in some time, and I just noticed that he actually signed it for me. To Scott, the fate of the nation depends on what you, as prophet, do next. Thanks, Larry Sims. It's like, you can't see it, but yeah. So it was a good time to in these trades. It was a nice time to like take some time to sign stuff, and we loved everyone who's ever worked on the game loves signing the game. So it's not like it was a big deal anyway, but that was pretty cool. So I basically said the guy, you know, talked to the guy and told him I thought his game was kind of flippant, and he was upset, but you know, I was excited to look at his games, and I thought they were cool. I would love Mouse Ritter to games on your shelf. I think that's kind of you. What is that about? I'm curious now. Mouse Ritter. I've heard of like Mouse. What's the other one? Mouse something or other. Where you actually play like a mouse, like like a mouse with a sword. You're a fencing mouse or something like that. Mouse. Now I gotta look it up after this. But yes, that is Blood Dawn. Mouse Guard. Mouse Guard. That's what I'm talking about. Is that the game you're talking about? Curious because I've heard about that. I've been curious about like that, and then there's Pugmire. You're a pug. I'm not. I'm on the border on those guys. If that's what you're talking about, I'd definitely check it out. Sounds neat. So that's Blood Dawn. Really cool. It's like a post-apocalyptic, where like um there's magic, and it's basically not magic, but it's techno magic. But these kind of simple people after the apocalypse see it as magic, and it's weird. It's really cool. Again, if you can get your hands on this, it's for the background alone, it's really cool. All right. So the next one is kind of I bring this one up because it's just weird. So this is called Trinity, and it was put out by I think it was put out by it was put up by White Wolf, right? So first of all, it comes in this really cool case, right? It's a built-in case. So like if you look over here, this kind of folds under, and you open this up, and it's a spiral bound book, which I think is really cool. Spiral bound is really nice when you need a book to sit flat on the table type of thing when you're gaming. So really cool. So basically, it's like a futuristic game where it's a future where they've developed like bio weapons, where like literally bio, like there's like the technology is made of a living thing that grafts to you, and that's your superpower, if you will. And the funny part is, okay, so if you probably can't see this, but this is a sticker that says Trinity, and if you could peel this off, and the reason it's here is because underneath is Aeon, Aeon. And it just so happens at the time this came out, there was this little MTV show called Aeon Flux. And my understanding was that they took a little offense to the fact that the name was being co-opted in like this futuristic sci-fi thing, which was what Aeon Flux is about. So they basically were going to sue White Wolf. So White Wolf decided, okay, well, we got this, we already got what's out there is out there, and so be it. But on the rest of our stock, we'll put on a sticker over this, and we'll change it to Trinity. So now the series became known as Trinity, and it kind of faded into obscurity. I don't think it ever really caught on. This is the time when White Wolf was known for one thing, and that was vampire. So people who were buying White Wolf weren't quite interested in bioengineered sci-fi type stuff. Let's see. All right, next on the list, the Babylon Project. So this was a game based on Babylon 5. Oh, I think they're gonna. Cassie says, "I think they're gonna." Oh, well, actually, everybody can see you watching this, but yeah. So, I think White Wolf or whoever they're kind of working or they're working with are doing a lot of new editions on all their stuff. Like there's another edition of literally everything coming out that they ever made is my understanding. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, it was Aeon, it was originally Aeon, not Trinity. So funny stuff. So this is Babylon Project based on the Babylon 5 sci-fi series, which was my favorite for a very long time. It's still a favorite in my heart. It's my top 5 sci-fi series. Which jumped the shark in the very last season, but we won't talk about that right now. That's not really the time to discuss it right here. However, so I bought it, and it sucked. Oh well, you can't win them all. So like, there's just a whole bunch of things that suck about it. The biggest one was like in combat. So like, it's hard enough to shoot anything in this game, right? So once you've shot them, ooh, that was really hard, but it's not over yet. You may still miss. So now you have to roll a die to like decide where it hit, like on the body or around, and if the area that you then roll is not a body part, well, your hit actually went over their shoulder or something like that. It missed, and just a bunch of crap like that. It was like, and it was very integral to the system. You really couldn't get rid of it, but silly like that. Yeah, I own Eclipse Phase, the new one. In fact, did I do the Kickstarter for that, the latest version? I can't remember. I think I did. I think I did do the latest Kickstarter for Eclipse Phase, but I've not played it. I have this thing lately where I really like. I'm scared of the old systems, and like I think Eclipse Phase is D100 based. And that just reminded me a lot of like the older, I don't know, the older school games that I played, but I wish I had a better system, that kind of thing. And in fact, another one I'm bringing up is exactly the same. In fact, why don't I bring it up next? Rifts. Everybody loves Rifts. They do. However, it is also a percentile system, and there were ways to do it better. Rifts came out in a bunch of there's like books upon books upon books upon books of Rifts, and yeah, watch out for those D100 systems. Yeah, and Neverworld was a D100 system, but it was a cool D100 system. Okay, it was cool. We rocked it. My buddy Aaron there, writer of Neverworld, which we've already covered. You missed out on Culture Book Pneumonia that I talked about already. I have a lot of time to kill here. I really need to slow down on my bookage. I might have to go back and talk some more about stuff. So let's kind of go through the list and let's see where I'm at. So yeah, Rift. So it's a percentile system based on the Palladium system. Palladium published it. It was based on a Palladium like fantasy role playing game, and from that system they developed all these others, including Rifts. And again, Rifts there has to be 40 or 50 Rifts books out there, and they're all very interesting. I bought a lot of them. I didn't buy a lot of them. I bought a number of them, and they're all very good reads. I played this a few times, once with my buddy Aaron actually, and the cool thing about Rifts is, so it was like, I seem to remember it was like kind of like the first role playing game that very much supported. I wonder if I've written my life. Yeah, the system not as fantastic as it could be, but the background, again, it was like the first game I encountered that I remember that specifically geared itself to handle pretty much anything. So like, this Rifts is a post-apocalyptic world where, post-apocalyptic things happen, but rifts were opening, and they could come from, like, anywhere, like a demon world, or this world, or that. So there's literally nothing you couldn't bring in. That's a double negative. You could bring anything you wanted into this game, and just say, hey, it came through a rift from another dimension or something. Deal with it. And you did. That kind of thing. It was really cool. And the art, oh my god, some of the best... I just love some of these, like the art for the various characters. Unfortunately, you can't see it. I'm sure it'd be some kind of copyright infringement if I did all this stuff online, but yeah. Yeah, Exalted. I never did play Exalted. That's actually one of Cassie Mouse's favorites. So she might fight you over that. Oh, is that? Oh, that is Cassie. Oh, I'm sorry. That's sorry. I thought it was Drug Door saying that. Like the blue of Cassie faded in there. My apologies. But yes. So I never did play Exalted, but I heard it was awesome. So, and plus, again, like all the other White Wolf stuff, they're doing new editions, and hopefully in this newest edition they'll write stuff, Cassie, so that it works best for you. Because I know that's like in our conversation, I know that's one that always seems to come up, and that's really cool. And I really want it to be cool for you, and kind of be where you need it to be. Yeah, the coalition suits, Aaron. Oh my god. They were beautiful. I mean, they were, fascists, but the outfits were freaking cool. The armor. The Glitter Boy, yes, the Glitter Boy. Basically, the Glitter Boy was this armor. It was about, I don't know, 20 feet tall of mech. So it was like a small on the mech side, and you're inside it. And its main gun was this rail gun. And in order to fire it, and not just in equal and opposite reactions being what they were, you not being blown 300 feet behind you, it actually, right before you fired it, drove this spike into the ground to stabilize you from its foot. And that was kind of cool. Yeah, they're making a new system. I think it's under like Savage Worlds or something. And I remember trying Savage Worlds, and it wasn't my thing at the time, but I didn't try too hard. I think I tried like a Deadlands, and I wasn't feeling the system. So anytime I hear that system, I'm like, maybe not. Oh, maybe reprint to it. I could swear they are doing it under a new under that system. So that's something or other. Yes, Rifts. Really, again, this is one that I played not much, but the art was so cool, and it opened up this world of possibilities as a GM. You can literally, okay, so yeah, you're in this post-apocalyptic world. We're gonna make some of this rifts opens in front of you, and slowly but surely this sentient ooze just comes through, or aliens, or demon, or whatever. So cool stuff. Cool stuff. And again, I'm going through these faster than I expected to, so I may have to get more, or kind of will circle around. So keep, if you have some thoughts, remember that. We'll come back. Let's see what it is. The Essence Edition of Exalted. And I think it's a totally custom thing. Interesting. I had not heard about that, so that's neat. Yeah, and Aaron, when we played, Rifts, it was the first Lee lines. The magic users were also so cool in Rifts. So the Lee line walker, for example, the psychic, I forget what the hunter psychic was, but really cool stuff. So yeah, all sorts of cool stuff, and things are circling around again. White Wolf, or it's not specifically White Wolf that's doing it, but I forget the company they're working with, but they're like doing new editions of all kinds of shit. And they're just reintroducing it and hoping it catches on. And I mean, if they do the system right, I mean, I like a lot about the 5th edition like vampire system, in the sense that there's less roles, but there's still more roles than I'd like. I'm very, very spoiled. I'm powered by the apocalypse. One roll and done. So there's that. But Onyx Path is one of them. There's like Dirty Dog Games or something like that. I forget who's doing the White Wolf development, but if I recall, they're just not doing much of their own. They're kind of just licensing stuff to people who want to do stuff. And of course, they were going to make an MMO and canceled it. They were bought out by was it Swedish company or something? And when they were bought out, that's when all this money got thrown at them, and they're like, "Oh, let's make an MMO," and it looked really cool, and then suddenly, no, screw the MMO, not happening. Next game. All right, so this one. Okay, so this is Aaron. I think you missed it earlier, but I talked about last day of Gen Con, when the various vendors would basically give the people working for them, stuff, and you go and you trade stuff. Yep, CCCP. And like, so at the end of, basically, so at the end of, various, swap day. So at the end of like Gen Con, I'd be given like 3 or 4 box sets. Again, I think those became business write-offs, and that kind of thing. So no money was lost, really, or was it? I don't know. But it was really cool, because it was, again, it was one less thing you had to load back onto the truck to take home. So so it was swap day, and so I got this. I think this game like folded down after. I really have to look this up. So Waste World, and what really got me was this. I always been into like samurai type stuff. So the Shogunate. This one game had like various. It was a world with various regions of stuff and stuff like that. And let's see. I wonder if someone signed this one too. Probably not. No. So yeah, so it was this kind of like this neat game idea. I like the idea more than I like the game. Yeah, it's kind of neat. It was kind of like a combination of the Shogunate was a combination of like lightsabers and samurai, and which Jedi are based off anyway, but you know what I mean. So samurai stuff with lightsabers, the katanas, cool stuff. But yeah, that was another one. Hey, I'll trade you a box set for that and a supplement. This is a box set, dude. It comes with the box. It comes with the map. It comes with the main book. It comes with the culture book Nonian. It comes with a die, a red die, the kind you have to put the crayon into, if I recall. And yeah, and then some posties with Neverworld on them. Yeah, then there was that. I was a volunteer. I was a volunteer on the Neverworld crew. Well, that was cool. I mean, that was like what we signed up for, was the experience of being able to, be involved in the game, which we were, and it was the coolest thing. It was one of the coolest. And again, Aaron, I was talking earlier in the stream how we're gonna get you on to talk about the Neverworld experience from yesteryear to today, etc. and that'll be a cool talk show. But yeah. So I got stuff to swap, which was pretty cool. It was good days. Those are good days. Next on my list, Cult, the original. Good times were had by all. So Cult is a game where the world is this illusionary trap, and you're put there. It's kind of almost like it predated the Matrix, but it's kind of has the same vibe as the Matrix. You're in this illusion of a world, and you're actually being controlled by these otherworldly creatures, and I forget exactly why. I don't know why you're in this trap, or the whole world is, or whatever. But there are these few people who know what's out there and who know what's real, or can partially at least see past the illusion. And that's where this game comes in. That's where the characters are. They're kind of, they're we know what's happening, and we want to, protect people from what's really happening. We're being devoured, or blah blah blah, that kind of thing. And it was very cool. They had some really cool systems for combat. Surprise. Like I remember, like my main character I played was a what was it? It was like a martial artist with a katana, and there was a lot of cool katana moves. Let's see. Yeah, Cult was super scary. They and again, it's like, and here's the just like Cthulhu. The thing about the cult world was the more you knew about it, more you knew about what was really out there, and there was a rating that said where you were on that, the more insane you appeared to everyone else. And maybe and you were insane. You were, because you weren't seeing the world as it is. So yeah, so eventually, if you saw everything in the illusion at will, you were also freaking completely insane, or on like the other end of the spectrum, kind of completely emotionless to everything, etc. And it's very neat like that. So it was a good system to kind of, the more you won, the more you lost in that sense. But the combat system was cool. You could actually choose moves to do. Remember, one was like a tiger leap. So with my katana, I could bypass like 20 feet in a jump and attack someone at the location, that kind of thing. Oh my god, this my web captioner needs to listen better, or I need to slur less. I'm like, Joan Benet, how the hell did that get in there? We don't want that. But I'm trying. Yes, Lord of Illusions was very much like that. I was like, yeah, that was. I don't think it was. It was more like, yeah, I suppose it was. It was more like in that movie. I think the otherworldly thing basically decided to, destroy our world and inhabit it at the very end. Spoiler alert. And that was like, the end. Yes, there was this other world behind this veil that we couldn't see past, and they just decided, hey, now it's time to eat everybody at the end of the app. So that was Lord of Illusions. Yeah, I haven't actually checked out the new Cult book. I know they did re-release it, and I'm curious. So if you happen to check it out, a lot of guy I know. But yeah, it was a neat world. It was an interesting concept. So yeah, it was a good game. I played that for quite some time with the guys back in the day. Next we're at Ghouls, Vampire the Masquerade, or is it Vampire? Or the Requiem, whatever. So Ghouls. So as much as okay, so when Vampire first came out, I thought it was so paradigm changing, in the sense that, like, yeah, you could play an evil character or whatever in a D&D game, I'm chaotic evil. But you could never play the goblin, that kind of thing. You couldn't live your life from that side. So I remember that when Vampire first came out, this is like the first time you get to play the quote unquote bad guys. What you learn as you play the game is it's really, again, it's a reflection of humans, just in a very concentrated form. They are us, we are them, type of thing. Oh yeah, I love playing both characters, power dynamics. Yeah, so I love playing. So again, I love playing vampires, but I also was a big fan of the ghouls. In fact, I played on a bunch of mushes and muxes uh, in the day, like vampire related. So these are like mushes, multi-user shared hallucination. These are text-based role-playing games and such. Like what? Like what are you talking about, Aaron? I'm talking around myself so much. I'm not quite sure what you're talking. Let a guy know. But yes, so I played ghouls, and I just found that dynamic was neat. Just like again, like kind of like oh, pardon. So as a ghoul, you are imparted with at least a part of your master's power, and so you're better in in the generally in the physical sense than a normal human being. You could still go out in the daytime though. You just needed blood like once a month, and otherwise you're pretty powerful in compared to a human potentially. Um, what I liked about the dynamics was kind of what's the best way to put it? It's like capitalism. So, this is horrible. So in capitalism, you have the big CEOs and big wigs of the corporations that are making a lot of money. And again, this is not politics. This is just more exaggerating. I think so. Like without people on the bottom doing the things that are making the products that are putting the products out there, the people up there can't do their thing. And without the people up there giving them jobs and having money to give them jobs and do stuff, they're you know they're powerless. So it was for vampires and ghouls. It's like, we're as ghouls, you're way less powerful than a vampire, and you're expendable to a degree. But at the same time, if a vampire doesn't have a ghoul, they're vulnerable during a good portion of their day. There's time that's wasted. There's downtime they can't get out of, and that they're not only vulnerable, but they can't accomplish things. So suddenly you have a ghoul that you trust, that you're bloodbound to, that or rather is bloodbound to you and loves you, loves you. And yeah, you're addicted to the blood. So yeah, you're addicted to the blood, their blood too, and they're addicted to their need to, have your services as a ghoul. Yeah, so yeah, the bloodbound enforces your kind of need to serve them and get their blood again. You basically fall in love with them in a very codependent style of way. So in this book, however, so I got this, and this was pretty cool. But this is when, like, even for White Wolf, they went way dark. Oh God, so dark in this book. They went so dark. So like, there's short stories like about how these various, ghouls meeting and whatnot, and serving their lords. And I still remember one of the short stories was this guy. He was an older guy, and he was with a young woman vampire, and she treated him horribly. And it was like it was like there's like literal trigger alerts in here before there were trigger alerts. Yeah, so long story short, after all this abuse the guy takes and all that he does for her and how she treats him like crap and everything, and how it turns out they're lovers and everything, at the very end, spoiler alert, that's his daughter. So it's like, oh no, did you really have to go with that? Can we just have gone with this older dude? So like and it was like all kinds of sadomasochistic stuff, and it was like I need to put the book down for a little while. It's hurting me to read, that kind of thing. And so yeah, that's this book. So they went way dark, so freaking dark. Yeah, ghoul families. So ghoul families were like, so I forget what supplement it was. It was probably the original Ghouls book or something, or it was not Spot. I forget. Anarchs. So so let's say you have ghouls and you breed them, and you keep ghouling every generation, and they keep breeding. Eventually, they are kind of ghouls on their own by the blood going through them, and so they become these inbred monsters. As if being a ghoul servant for generations wasn't bad enough, you're all freaking inbred because you have to be. And it's just they went way all over the place with that. That was rather dark too, I recall. I remember I won't even actually bring that up. There was one of the female family members was mating with things. It was horrible. Anyway, won't bring that up. But let's see here. So what do they reward players with? Let's see here. That is, I just made some laugh good. So what do they reward players with? Like, oh, like I assume you're referring to like the fact that ghouls are far less powerful than vampires. So what was like the benefit of playing them? There wasn't any beyond the fact that you go out into daylight, and again, it was more of the experience. I think I never actually played one in a real game, like a live sitting across the table from a person game. I always played it in mushes and muxes online. Amoxicillin. Damn, I'm apparently mumbling, or the web captioner doesn't know what that means. That's okay. So yeah, but there weren't any classes per se. There were ghoul families, and they had their own little inbred weirdnesses. It was dark. It was so dark. Everything with concerning ghouls in the vampire system is way darker than it is for just the vampires. It's way darker. Messed up. Mess you up. All right, so let's go to the next game here. And again, I had a pile. I figured that would last me the whole time, but I'm only, a little over halfway in. I'm almost through with my list. So here, this is good. So, okay, so here's a little game by Last Unicorn Games. Star Trek. They did a Star Trek game back in the 98-ish or something like that. So I bring out this one in particular because this is the first non-Neverworld game I ever gamed at a convention. So like I live in the Milwaukee area, and Gen Con used to be in the Milwaukee area. So it was I basically was going to take time off from work to do Gen Con anyway, and I was very into their Star Trek game, Last Unicorn Games. And so they basically put up, hey, we're looking for people to work the booth, work so many hours or run these many games, and you'll get a free 4-day pass or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, I could not spend that much money on a 4-day pass, so yeah, totally. So here's where story time comes in with this one. So basically, I was at my booth day one, reporting for duty, and I was going to run my first game, and it turns out there weren't enough players, so I ended up actually filling in as a player. I played Odo because we were doing one of like the already cropped out games in the or adventures in the book, or for the con rather. Excuse me. So I was playing Odo in another person's game, and it was great. I was having a great time. I was looking forward to, living up to my part of the bargain, getting the 4-day pass, I think I had ran like 3 sessions or 4 sessions once a day, which, 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever. I did that staying in my head. But, and please excuse me if this is too much information. I don't think it is. But I had to start, but as I was playing this game, I noticed I had to start going to the bathroom a lot. I had to pee, and I did, and like nothing happened when I got there. And this continued on. So at the time I had no car, so I took the bus home from Gen Con that night. It was late, and I got home, and I was in my flat. I had a downstairs duplex. My parents rented it for me. They lived upstairs. And I got home, and my kidneys felt like they were going to explode. It was horrible. It was the most pain I'd felt up to that point in my life. And I was able to flag down my dad, who's in third shift, was about to go to work, or second, or whatever. And we went to the hospital. It turns out I had a kidney stone. And at the time, they kept you in the hospital for that. There really wasn't anything they could do unless it was, well, at that time, they did want to get it out. Present day, they kind of want you just to suck it up and wait till nature takes its course, so to speak, and it's gone. But in that day, they hospitalized me. I was in the hospital for like 4 days. I was in the hospital for the rest of Gen Con. And I felt so bad. I called my contact in Last Unicorn Games, and I said, hey, I am so sorry. And on her end, I could just hear her voice, and I could just imagine her thoughts, as I'm telling her basically, hey, I'm so sorry. I got my first day done and I did my thing, but I'm in the hospital and they're keeping me here for like another 3 or 4 days. I have a kidney stone, and I can't be released. I'm in just agonizing pain right now when the morphine isn't hitting me. So I'm so sorry. So the lady organizing it, "Oh, okay, thank you." Of course, she thought I just basically wanted the free pass, and which I still had. They couldn't like revoke that kind of thing. So she thought I was just another guy, kind of just getting free stuff for almost nothing, and I felt so bad. I actually emailed her. They couldn't beam it out. I actually emailed her after the case and like tried to apologize profusely, and that kind of thing. I contacted her, and I felt really bad. But so that was why that is worthy of a story. So let's circle around. Let's look at some of these games again real quick. Actually, I did want to bring up. I've been looking for it. I have. So that same year that that I ran that Star Trek game, I believe that was the year where they released the Dune game by Last Unicorn Games, and it was talked up so much. And Last Unicorn Games was gonna have this whole series of stuff, and I bought it, and the game sucked. The system sucked. It was very unfinished. I think they rushed it to the door. And they sold it at Gen Con. They sold out at Gen Con. And then Last Unicorn Games went bankrupt not that long later. And that was it. So there was this unfinished Dune game. The game, one of my favorite universes in the universe. And they went under, just when they were starting to get good with it. Again, the system sucked. It was unfinished. There was so much that was not explained and that kind of stuff. And it was just unplayable. I've read reviews by people who said, "Oh, it wasn't bad to play," but I completely disagree. There was so much left not fleshed out that it was unplayable and not worth it. And the art was not fantastic. I don't have a lot of great stuff, but I have it to this day, and it's like the most expensive thing in my collection. I think it's worth like, well, depending on like where you sell it, it's worth up to like $300. But I still have it just to have at this point. So yeah, that was also Last Unicorn Games, who was putting out my Star Trek game at that time. So, all right, so I've already done my stack of books, and I thought that would take the whole time. So let's kind of go back through. There's some other stuff to share. Especially now that Aaron's here, maybe I'll bring out the Culture Book Noon. Clicked on the crack. Oh, nope, there we go. Okay, Culture Book Devonian. So, Devonian. Oh, come on, web captioner. I need Newonian. Nope, not going to happen. All right. So, Culture Book Devonian. So, as I said, the only real like chunk of content I wrote for the entire game was the Cult of Dorimedos. So, the Cult of Dorimedos was this cult that it was kind of, if you joined, you had to become one of 3 positions. It was like there was 3 sub-goddesses or gods to this religion. There was like the Dorimedos was the main person, this god that you were worshiping, this demon, and then his 3 children. And as I dreamt up this whole thing as part of the cult, you took up a position that kind of followed in the steps of one of the 3 children to support Dorimedos, and that kind of thing. So so I fleshed this all out. I was very proud of it, and as part of it, so they get their own cult spells, right? So there was this one I was really proud of, and it was like, well, okay, so you're a cultist, you're living in this very crowded city with people around you who, murder or burn you at the stake if they find out you're part of this cult, right? So how do you organize? Once you actually have members, how do you make things happen? You gotta cultists gotta worship. Worshippers gotta worship. So I had come up with this cool thing where basically part of being in the cult was you got a little sliver of Dorimedos' soul embedded in your forearm, right? So, and this was kind of where part of your power came from. So you would basically cut the mark of Dorimedos, which was called, slightly, and you would take the blood and you do your spell, and you would like put it on signs. So like, let's say you're a vendor of apples. You'd say on the sign to everyone else says, is displayed very prominently over you, apples, 2 copper a piece. And then, but because it's so prominently displayed, it's a great place to call out for other members to tell them what's going on. So then you could use the blood from the mark to write your message, like cult meeting, 5 bells at the blah blah blah. So that was my idea for it. And I'm not sure if I ever told you this, Aaron, but I did not get along with the editor. I can't remember his name. I never liked him. I'm sorry. I remember he rubbed me wrong, and I never got along with him. Nice enough guy, I'm sure. Whatever. But not in my friend zone. But what then would kill me on top of it all was he edited my spell. So I just described to you what the effect I was looking for, right? And it's very useful for cultists. And he rewrote it as, you can use it. Oh, you can use it to trace over things. So now he made it freaking cult neon. So now it appears really cool. And yeah, so it was supposed to be this really cool communication device, and now he made it freaking cult neon signs. Give me a fucking break. Sorry. Yeah, Cult of Hermos really challenged me to increase the cultural depth of everything. I'm not sure how. I mean, it was just another cult. I thought it was pretty cool, but I never knew that. So thanks for that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I was I remember seeing it in print, and I was very upset with that. I remember literally stewing in anger as I kind of read things over, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe you freaking did this to my cool spell. You broke it. You made it stupid. I hate you. Type of thing. But yeah, so yeah, but his he was someone you wanted to butt heads with because he missed on my spell. So I was very upset about that, and so yeah, that was this was my big thing where I could, if I ever wanted to work for any company, I could put this on my resume. And they're like, I would know if I ever, it never happened, but let's say I had gotten onto a, an interview or something as a writer for another game. And I'm like, oh, well, bring us your portfolio. And here it is. Here's Cult of Rumnos. And I know they'd flip open to that spell and they'd be like, this is a stupid ass spell. Why would you want freaking Cult Neon? Get out of our offices. Get out of here. You're dumb. You don't know what you're doing. You don't have a clue. We hate your stuff. Goodbye. So there's that. So yeah, let's see what else we got. So let's go back to this one. Yeah, this is kind of funny. The story where I basically told the guy I thought his game was silly, and not realizing that it was the dude I was talking to was the writer of the game and this new game who I was swapping for. So here's another quick story, and then I think actually, I won't bring that because I actually think I talked about it in another talk show about my time meeting in the Cyberpunk episode where I basically tell the story about when I met Michael Pondsmith. So actually, if you're curious about that story, go back to that. That's on YouTube. Well, let's see. But yeah, it was. I just remember I was when I went up to this guy and like, hey, can I swap a Neverworld for this game, your Blood Dawn? And I'm like, and he was like, oh yeah. So what do you think about, Battlelords of the 23rd century? Oh, it's kind of flippant, blah, blah, blah. He hated me for a bit there, but still was cool and signed my book for me and it was awesome. And I hope he's making games good, today. I think he might be in on the crew remaking one. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, Aaron, I remember you saying something about that, how they were like changing the name to protect the innocent type of thing and make some cash off of your IP type of thing. So I hope that failed. That was silly. That's not cool. Let's see here. To be fair, I basically told the guy I wouldn't play his game if I was paid for it, without realizing he was a writer and would forever sleep with that current. Yeah, Yep. That okay, so you went like the step further than I did. Yeah, so I feel your pain. I do. Not to the degree, but yeah. So that was just that was like that was uncomfortable. That was horrible. And it's like and when you think about it, I mean this guy had spent years of his life, he like just like Aaron, he he put it out there, he researched, he brought this stuff together, he got artists to work for him, he spent money, and put his heart and soul into it, and yeah, for me to just even say like, well, I thought that was kind of more jokey than it should have been, and la la la, and like this is a serious one. Well, okay, good. So yeah, so Lauren Sims, if you're out there, you are not. If you were, though, I apologize heftily to you. I think I did at the time. If I didn't, that was a jerkwad or something. I apologize for that also. But again, I haven't played the games, but I like the material, and that's saying something. So there you go. But yes, Drugdorf must have recurring nightmares of that experience, and seek therapy and that kind of thing. I know I would. That would be that would be horrible. All right. Well, let's see. Let's look through the games again because yeah, there's some good stuff. Let's go back to Rifts. So this is what's kind of funny is so yeah, the Coalition. Uh, yeah, exactly. You can probably just buy him a drink and laugh about it at this point. Yeah, the wounds have covered over. Things are right in the world again, etc. etc. So there's actually like a Rifts Ultimate Edition or something that's out there, and I kill myself. I saw a hard copy one in a bookstore on the sales shelf once, and I didn't get it, and I regret it. Again, the art is cool. Again, I don't know if I like the game, the actual system, but the art was cool, the idea was cool, and so yeah. So one of the things about Rifts was when I first started playing this game, um I didn't kind of get the hint that the coalition was like basically Nazi fascists. Because I'm like, in my gamer head, I'm like, why the hell would a game maker make all these classes for a group that are basically freaking Nazis? So in your naive gamer head, this never occurs to you, and suddenly you start, oh, well, they're doing this or that, or oh, that's pretty oppressive, and I think by the time Aaron and I played, I kind of put one and one together, and I think his adventure was actually him being a coalition officer who was going to get out into the world and seeing really what it was, what it brought about, and then got out of that game type of thing. Yes, please save it for the Neverworld show. That'll be awesome. But yeah, so again, if you have a chance to look at the art for Rifts, like any of it, it's just amazing. Kind of on the flip side of like insulting someone. So you know what? I'm not as prepared as I should be. I didn't think I'd need it, but so I have years ago, at the height of vampiredom. Please tell us. I'll continue though. So, oh yes, so I was and at the height of Vampire the Masquerade, like way, I won't say way back in the day. It's still not. It's still pretty cool. But in like its heyday, and it's like everyone had to play Vampire Day. Um, I bought a print from Timothy Bradstreet, like from literally from him at his booth, and I was just in love with his art. It was amazing. It was look at it, and I remember I kind of just offhandedly said to him like, I really like your art because no two pictures are the same. Those are all different people who look different and are doing different things and different feelings and backgrounds. He's like, he kind of like he signed my picture, and then he hands it to me. He's like, dude, that's like the coolest thing you can say to an artist is that no two pictures look alike. You know, it's like it's your, you can tell it's his style, but there's it. You can't put two pictures together and say, oh yeah, these were done pretty much right after the other with the same ID. The only thing I was like, my that was my biggest, cool moment with someone who created something at Gen Con. But yeah, so I mean, there's so many stories. I mean, it, what I found in my, so I've been playing role playing games, as I've said many times, here on the talk show and elsewhere. I've been playing role playing games since I was like 11 years old, and I'm now almost 50. And there are there is so much awesomeness that comes from role playing games, just beyond hanging out with your buds and playing this game. There's this exploration of yourself. There's this exploration of what you think humanity's all about. I mean, it can get really deep, man. As you kind of explore characters, good and evil. I played good and evil characters. There's this ability to create, that in our daily lives just isn't there. We're not allowed to be as, for the most part, to be as creative as role playing games allow us to be. This is, and creativity is a muscle. And the more you work it, the stronger it gets, the more you're able to do with it, the further you're able to take it. And I think that's one of the reasons they're so cool. So you not only get together with your buddies, this is a social thing. Role-playing games are used as therapy today for people with social issues. Showing them, get like people with autism are able to, they play role-playing games, and it gives them, interactions with people where they can kind of test and see emotional, or emotional and social responses and stuff, and it's played everywhere. When I was in the military, everybody's playing D&D or something. I was in the Navy, but never on a ship. But my understanding was every ship had a D&D group or multiple ones. It's just a step away from reality. You get to be the hero for a day when you're the tech guy or whatever. So I have a lot of stories about a lot of games, and I'm happy to share them with you this hour. So I appreciate everybody being here. Um, we're getting close to the hour. I do want to kind of keep it to an hour ish or so. But anyone have any closing thoughts? Any questions? Anything? I don't want to leave you hanging if I don't have to. Oh yeah. So Lappy, I just want to kind of point out, Lappy is I've been watching her. Well, she watched my 1,000-Year-Old Vampire solo journaling stream, and I watched some of hers. I haven't watched all of it. I am so sorry about that. But again, that is such a creative endeavor, and I would, if you can, if I think you can put a link in here, Lappy. Go ahead and put the link to your stream in here. If not, I'll see if I can find it real quick, because it's definitely worthwhile. Let me look that up quick. Oops. Oopsie. Do it this way. Let's see here. Oh, won't let you. Hold on. Let me see if I can make it do it. Let's see. Come on. Sorry, Lappy. I'm failing you here. Hold on. Gonna get out of the capture for a second. There we go. Because I think it's kind of cool. Twitch does that make it simple for you to go around stuff? Let's see here. On. Only I can find it. Only I can find it. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Well, crap. It's killing me here. It's hard. It's almost impossible to find out. Like here. It's killing me here. It's hard. It's almost impossible to find out. Like here. It's killing me here. It's hard. It's almost impossible to find out. Like. Aha! Let me put this here. There we go. Now we're talking. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, so that's Lappy. So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. It's so cool to sorry about that. It's these I recently discovered solo games and they are so cool. They make you stretch yourself because you have no one to play off of in this role playing game. It's just you. So you've got to use your own creativity. And let me tell you, I do 3 hour streams of this, and it's mentally devastating because you're just constantly on the road to a new idea type of thing. So definitely check out Lappies when you have a chance. Sorry for the reverb. I bring that up. But otherwise, we've hit our hour. Thank goodness. And I got to go through my list of games, and it's pretty cool. And I hope I shared some stories with you. And I'd love for anybody here join my Discord. If you go into my about below, you'll find that. I definitely want to talk about. Yeah, I'd like to hear your stories too, because I actually do want to hear about your character and stuff like that. So go to my Discord and post there, or join, and all that kind of good stuff. And no problem for the shout out, Lappy. And what's on the next show? That's a really good question. Depending on your availability, it might be the Neverworld show. So we'll have to see. You let me know. I'll do the thing. So anyway, I appreciate everybody for watching. As always, again, I'm only too well aware that I'm a very, very low level streamer, fighting to get any viewers. But when I do find some viewers, I treasure you more than I can say. And I hope I'm putting on a good enough show where you think it's, time well spent. You're having a good time, you're chilling out, and maybe have some laughs and kind of, pick up what I'm putting down. So I really do appreciate it, and everybody watching, you're awesome. Again, I'm Scott Skates Files. If you're watching me on Twitch, all the information is below. You may have to hit the about thing. It'll show you all my social media links. Please check them out. And otherwise, if you're watching this on YouTube, check out all those links in the description, because I do post all this on YouTube afterwards. So in fact, my YouTube channel is filled with all my stuff. So, on that note, I bid everyone a fond farewell, and thank you again for watching. You're awesome. Keep being awesome. Go forth and do no harm, and all that kind of good stuff. And take care. Take care. Be good. Be good to each other.